Something within you insists that in just 2 hours, everything might flip. Your quiet prayers, your silent tears, they're about to unleash a wave of change so sudden it could catch you off guard if you're not prepared. Right now, watch at least 12 minutes to confirm you're ready. Like this message, subscribe, and type 77T to let the universe know you're open. Then, in your own words, leave another comment. Ready for what's next. Doing this will trigger immediate benefits and set in motion a profound season of transformation. Chapter 1. You stood at the edge, wondering if God still sees you. You felt trapped in the same loop, waking each day, bracing for more of the same pressures that never seem to ease. Bills, heartbreak, unrelenting self-doubt. These weighed so heavily that you began questioning whether God overlooked your tears. Maybe you wrote in a journal or confided in a friend, only to find no real answers beyond cliches. Over time, you wondered if he misunderstood your divine calling, or if your prayers were simply being ignored. Yet a small ember of hope refused to die. You heard stories of last-minute rescues and sudden deliverances. Times God intervened for others, right when all seemed lost. You clung to the idea that if it could happen for them, it could happen for you. Deep inside, you sensed you were meant for a life beyond perpetual struggle, that your heartbreak and tears weren't wasted, but forging a deeper capacity for empathy. Still, the daily grind threatened to extinguish that spark. Then clues started surfacing. A random text from someone you hadn't spoken to in ages, a snippet of a motivational quote exactly matching your thoughts, or perhaps a dream that urged you not to abandon your faith. Each sign felt divinely timed, as though the universe quietly insisted you hold on a little longer. As the clock ticked, you realized that everything could pivot sooner than you imagined, possibly even in the next couple of hours. The tension between despair and hope intensified. You glimpsed the potential reality where all those burdens lifted in a moment, replaced by blessings you thought you'd only ever dream about. That glimpse stunned your heart with both desire and fear. Could it truly happen that fast after so much delay? You oscillated between wanting to believe wholeheartedly and bracing yourself for more disappointment. But something in your spirit, that raw, unwavering core, whispered that change this dramatic required a final show of faith. In these final moments before the shift, you reaffirmed your identity as chosen. You recognized that surviving all those heartbreaks, all those nightmares, could never be meaningless. God had to be forging you for something bigger. And the sharper the forging, the mightier the mission. Accepting that, you gave yourself permission to hope once more, letting your guard down to trust that maybe, just maybe, the unstoppable wave was heading right to your doorstep. Now, on the brink of that wave, you realize you've done enough. You prayed, you endured, you refined your character. Even your tears served a purpose, and they softened the soil of your heart so blessings could take root. These last 2 hours before it hits are about steadiness. You don't have to chase or force anything. Stay alert, open, and expectant. Because God sees you, your watchers see you, and your entire story leads to this critical juncture. An outpouring that will dwarf your pain, overshadow your doubts, and prove that you, chosen one, were never forsaken. Chapter 2. You're face to face with the tail end of a dark cycle. You feel a restlessness that suggests the negative cycle you've been trudging through is finalizing. Doubt arises. Haven't I thought this before, only to see no progress? But this time, it's different. The spiritual climate around you feels electric, as if the next 2 hours hold a cosmic countdown to break a chain that's long stifled your growth. In prior attempts, the cycle lingered. However, subtle signs from repeating dreams to gut instincts tell you it truly ends now. You look back at the cycle's beginnings. Was it heartbreak that shattered your trust, setting you on a downward spiral of self-doubt? Or a financial pit that turned each day into a scramble for survival? Perhaps a health crisis robbed you of normalcy. Over time, these trials layered into a seemingly endless night. You grew used to functioning with minimal energy, grateful for small reprieves but never feeling fully liberated. That oppressive heaviness shaped your decisions, leading you to plan defensively rather than pursue the bold vision once burning in your spirit. Yet despite the cycle's stranglehold, You occasionally glimpsed moments of hope. A friend's success triggered both envy and inspiration. A fleeting financial windfall teased the possibility of stable abundance. Though fleeting, these glimpses fed the deeper conviction that you didn't have to remain stuck. You recognize your soul's vantage point. Chosen ones endure the extremes to refine unwavering faith, so every blow also forges resilience. And through that forging, you earn the capacity to carry the unstoppable blessings that you sense are en route. Now you're on the edge of the final piece of this puzzle. A hush in the spiritual atmosphere presses an imminent turning point. The tension might manifest as physical restlessness or vivid, almost surging dreams. You might be reorganizing your space, spontaneously discarding old items, or feeling an unexplainable urge to finalize tasks. This outward restlessness mirrors an inward readiness. Something is finishing so thoroughly that it can't resurrect. This tail end, ironically, can feel chaotic. Emotional storms might flare, or random conflicts might pop up, testing your resolve. It's as if the old cycle is fighting to remain relevant, urging you to slip back into old fears. Yet the difference is your awareness. You can see these final attempts for what they are. Last gasps of a cycle that no longer has any real hold on you. Standing firm now determines whether you exit for good or re-engage. Your watchers, ancestors, or angels close in, doubling their protective encirclement. They watched your back when you were this close before. It's as though they whisper into your ear, "Stand this time. Stand." And stand you do. Not through raw might, but through the quiet knowledge that you've outgrown the dark cycle. You feel it in your bones, that these last 2 hours are more than figurative. They're literal. A countdown is on, and once it hits zero, the old weight drops off for good. So let fear come, but don't feed it. Keep your spirit anchored in truth. The door behind you is closing permanently on that dark corridor. The door ahead leads to the unimaginable fullness you've glimpsed in daydreams. If you hold steady, you'll find yourself crossing the threshold from survival to vibrant living. That's the essence of the shift, your final stand against the draining cycle, culminating in a sunrise that breaks over every shadow you once believed invincible. Chapter 3. You must surrender to the suddenness of this breakthrough. It's happening quickly, quicker than you planned, quicker than logic deems comfortable. You wanted a gentle transition, something that gave you time to prepare psychologically. Instead, the universe moves at top speed, rendering your typical caution near worthless. Chosen ones often face these rapid turns because God's timing sometimes demands bold leaps. If you cling to slow, methodical changes, you might miss the flashpoint where heaven's gate opens. Think about your life's major turning points. Rarely did they proceed at a leisurely pace. Usually you get a day's notice for that job that changes everything. Or you meet your future partner by sheer happenstance at an odd hour. Destiny sidesteps your scheduling preferences, forcing you to trust the synergy of faith and readiness. Right now you sense the same dynamic. The next 2 hours can alter your entire trajectory, leaving you no grace period to second guess. Your immediate task is to remain flexible. If an opportunity calls, you must be prepared to rearrange your day or your entire life. Rigidity kills momentum. For instance, if a phone call offers a job in a distant city that requires an immediate decision, or a friend invites you to an event that initially feels out of your comfort zone, do not dismiss it. The door might only open briefly, and missing it could cost you a portion of your destiny's blueprint. This doesn't mean be reckless, but it means learning to swiftly discern, is this the moment I prayed for? You might worry about being gullible or making a misstep in haste. That's where spiritual alignment matters. The deeper your ongoing dialogue with the divine, the quicker you sense authenticity. A still, calm voice within will confirm you're on the right track. If your watchers want you there, they'll bathe you in peace, even if it's a large leap. On the other hand, if they want you to pass, they'll stir discomfort. Familiarize yourself with your inner signals so you can pivot or proceed accordingly. Another factor is your self-image. Sudden breakthroughs require that you see yourself as worthy enough to receive them. If you harbor doubts about your capabilities, you might freeze just as the golden chance arrives. Affirm daily that you carry the grace to adapt and excel. The universe won't dangle blessings you can't handle, so assume competence, even if your nerves act out. Accepting the pace can also raise eyebrows among your peers. They might say you're impulsive or naive, but they aren't privy to the spiritual cues you follow. Obey the Spirit's urging over public consensus. This is your journey, your calling. The mind-blowing part is that once you say yes to the sudden shift, synergy floods your path. Resources pop up, supportive people align, and obstacles recede. That's how you recognize you made the right call. Ultimately, your instructions are simple. Be ready for speed. Lean on the anchors you've cultivated. Prayer, journaling, wise counsel, but don't let fear hamper decisive action. The blessing you yearn for might not approach with a delicate knock. It could smash through your door in the next couple of hours, presenting no safer alternative than to trust the process. Surrender to the suddenness, embrace it. Because if you do, you'll harness the unstoppable wave that's rolling in, carrying you farther than any slow-moving plan could ever manage. Chapter 4. You're overcoming the anxiety that used to paralyze you. Yes, your heart might still race at the mention of a drastic life change. For so long, anxiety stood as a giant barrier, whispering that stepping out of your comfort zone would end in disaster. You'd been burned before, after all, so it seemed prudent to remain guarded. But in this culminating season, that old anxious voice no longer holds power. You sense God stretching your capacity for bravery. The universe is orchestrating events so quickly that anxiety doesn't have enough time to spin its web of negativity. This doesn't mean your mind won't react. Anxiety is a learned defense mechanism. You might wake up feeling tension in your chest, or you might momentarily freeze when confronted with new demands. Yet now you have an arsenal to combat it. The calm knowledge that your watchers orchestrate for your good, not your ruin. The difference is trust, an unwavering sense that you're not falling into chaos, but being elevated. Overcoming anxiety becomes simpler when you realize each door opening is a direct response to your prayers. Observe how just weeks ago, your anxiety thrived on the unknown. Now, ironically, the unknown beckons you with promise. This shift from dread to anticipation is a sign of emotional healing. This shift doesn't happen by accident. God stirs your spirit to see possibility instead of risk. The energy around you brims with creativity, offering new ways to solve old challenges. Anxiety can't breathe in an environment saturated with active solutions. Of course, you remain vigilant. You won't throw caution to the wind and call it faith, but your caution stems from wisdom, not fear. You do your checks, prayer, reflection, maybe a quick conversation with a mentor, then move forward. That synergy couples reason with spiritual confidence. Once you've done your part, anxiety's voice finds no anchor. The refrain changes from, "What if it goes wrong?" to, "What if this is exactly the step I needed?" It helps that these final 2 hours before the shift are electric with spiritual signals. You might see repeating numbers or get random waves of calm that override your swirling thoughts. When you feel that calm, you understand it's a protective mantle, letting you taste life without the usual weight of anxiety. That glimpse fuels your determination not to let fear keep you shackled a second longer. In short, the universe is giving you a test run of how it feels to walk unburdened by tension. Another hidden factor is how much your watchers crave your success. They stand behind you to calm the turbulence in your mind. If you sense an unnatural wave of peace after panicking, that's them stepping in. Accepting their help is more than self-care. It's part of your destiny. The chosen life demands you conquer anxiety because your mission can't proceed in a swirl of doubt. Freed from persistent worry, you can harness your full potential and guide others out of their own fear cycles. When anxiety tries to sabotage you at the 11th hour, you meet it with firm resolve. I've come too far to yield to illusions. Just as you overcame heartbreaks and manipulations, you will overcome this mental chatter. You have the clarity to see fear's hollow logic. Ultimately, you watch anxiety fade in the face of unstoppable momentum. Surging into the next stage of life, you sense a calm you once only dreamed of, anchored by faith and the knowledge that each step forward is bathed in divine alignment. Chapter 5. You're on the verge of a physical move or major shift. For many, change seems intangible, like inner healing or emotional breakthroughs. Yet here, the universe may be orchestrating a tangible shift, a move to a new location, or a radical pivot in career. In the next 2 hours, you could receive the signal, a call confirming your lease, a sudden out-of-state job posting, or a friend urging you to relocate. Initially, you might hesitate. Uprooting is no small matter, but divine guidance rarely aligns with comfort zones. Consider how a new environment can reset your entire perspective. Different neighborhoods or workplaces dissolve old habits, sparking creativity and renewed faith. If your previous space was steeped in heartbreak or lack, a physical move can clear mental clutter and welcome fresh hope. Any pang of grief over leaving familiar corners is offset by the promise of what lies ahead. Naturally, practical concerns, rent, commutes, family ties, still matter. But when the universe sets a path, watch obstacles vanish. A friend offers a spare room, a sudden bonus covers moving costs, or a coworker passes along the perfect lead. These puzzle pieces fit so smoothly that coincidence seems impossible. Don't overthink. If it feels aligned, leap. For some, the shift may be figurative rather than literal, like changing industries or starting a venture, and may arrive cloaked in chaos. Maybe a boss's abrupt exit or a sweeping reorganization shakes things up. Step back and see the universe clearing your road. If offered a chance to lead or innovate, seize it. This is your moment to guide your destiny instead of bowing to outside forces. Expect it to happen swiftly. Divine timing rarely tiptoes. One day of upheaval can end months of stagnation. Yes, you grapple with uncertainty, but every step draws you closer to your calling. Though you can't see the whole plan, you sense this new environment or role aligns perfectly with your deeper purpose. Here, you may find key allies or mentors, a supportive setting for unstoppable growth. Embrace the drama. The universe is crafting a vibrant narrative, and this move or pivot is a major plot twist. Choose excitement over fear. Short-term hassles loom. Remember they're fleeting compared to the long-term rewards. Stay anchored in prayer, trusting divine confirmations at each step. You'll see how the new setting recharges your spirit, freeing you from stale energies and unveiling the future you always felt was possible. This isn't merely a relocation or reorganization. It's a milestone in your unstoppable ascent. Chapter 6. You must guard your boundaries as old cycles try to pull you back. Even in these last hours before your seismic shift, the old cycle may stage a desperate comeback. A former connection might reach out, claiming remorse, or a toxic job could offer false promises. It's common for worn-out energies to lure you with one more try. The risk is too big. As you approach your turning point, falling for it might cost you the unstoppable momentum you've built. Chosen ones must hold firm boundaries during transitions. If you spent months escaping manipulative ties or draining workplaces, don't let nostalgic illusions undo your progress. Yes, you might recall a few positive memories, but weigh them against the cycle of pain or stagnation you overcame. If they never truly supported your growth, stay resolute. The universe has something bigger in store. Maintaining outdated attachments contradicts your new level. This boundary setting can spark guilt, especially if you're a natural caretaker. People may brand you uncaring or ungrateful, but their concern often revolves around their own convenience, not your health. By insisting on personal space or refusing to revert, you're not being selfish. You're safeguarding your destiny. And there's a difference between shutting everyone out and filtering negative influences. You're preventing anchors from dragging you backward when you're on the brink of something unstoppable. Also, beware of subtle sabotage. Well-meaning friends might plant doubt. Isn't this too risky? But they project their own fears onto you. Honor your spiritual insight that sees beyond their limitations. Thank them, but continue forward with confidence. Practice gentle yet firm refusal. You can decline without hostility. I'm on a new path. I can't go back. Avoid lengthy explanations. Old cycles feed on emotional debate, draining you at a time when you need focus for your pivot, your new responsibilities, and the high-frequency posture essential for unstoppable success. Boundary enforcement can stir emotions, sorrow that certain people won't join your next chapter, annoyance at ongoing manipulation. Yet each time you stand firm, you demonstrate readiness for greater blessings. God observes you applying hard-earned lessons. This confirms you're prepared for the final reveal. Laying these boundaries is the exclamation point ending your old story, ensuring the new script proceeds undisturbed. Chapter 7. You are moments from the reveal of a blessing that redefines everything. All signs, dreams, and instincts converge on one truth. A colossal blessing is near, possibly within the next 2 hours. If you've pictured how life might look if everything aligned, multiply that by 2 or 3. That's the scale of this unveiling. God's plan always outstrips our safest hopes. Every chapter of your past, heartbreak, healing, late-night turmoil, sudden calls, has led here. Now you stand on a threshold, confidence forged in struggle. You've tidied your emotional world, built a strong faith foundation, redefined your circle, and readied your surroundings. The universe can't delay what's reserved for you. Embrace both expectation and awe. Even though you sense it coming, the magnitude may stun you. Let the tears of relief flow. Let laughter ring out when you see how meticulously the universe arranged every detail. However it arrives, phone call, email, or face-to-face, greet it calmly as if to say, I knew you were coming. Yet remain humbly amazed. For how else should we greet a masterpiece of divine design? Anticipate a test of your response. Will you shrink in unworthiness or step boldly into the new round that opens? Your watchers prepared you for the intensity, fortifying you with the resilience heartbreak tried to destroy. So when the weight hits, move through it with the grace of someone who's always felt a greater promise under their life's surface. Nothing remains untouched. Finances, relationships, career, personal growth. A beautiful overflow can drench you in the best way possible. Even if your mind panics over logistics, your spirit knows to move in synergy. Though each step feels new, a higher hand illuminates the path as you go, stone by stone, each time you trust and step forward. Stand in gratitude when the wave arrives. Gratitude that heartbreak deepened your faith, that signs showed you were never abandoned, that watchers quietly orchestrated your safety. Gratitude for the growth that led you to enforce healthy boundaries rather than letting chaos devour your blessings. At last it's here, the unstoppable shift. Even your most vivid daydreams couldn't fully imagine the wonder. The miracle is that you remain truly you, only more radiant, sure of your calling. This wave doesn't wash away your identity. It polishes it, expanding your mission to serve, create, and inspire those around you. That's the mark of unstoppable transformation. Your overflowing cup spreads blessing beyond your own life. And in mere hours, you'll see reality echo the unstoppable call your spirit felt all along.